All right, guys. Welcome back to another stream. We're also doing this for the YouTube. You can find me on Twitch at JQ Poker. Where are we? Here we are. On YouTube, Instagram, and Twitch at JQ Poker. This session was originally streamed on Twitch. Today we're going to be reviewing my good friend Dukey Bets. He just put out a vlog for his channel. You can find him at Dukey Bets on Instagram and on YouTube. It's absolutely killing it. He posted it 5 hours ago. It's got almost 2,000 views. He's crushing it, really blowing up. He deserves it. Makes some great content. But even though we know his content is great, today I'm going to see, are his plays great as well. So we have the solver pulled up. It won't match exactly because obviously there will be some multi-way spots and stuff. But without further ado, I'll just let him do his own intro. We'll get right into it. And I'm excited for this one. Here we go.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the vlog. I'm Dukey Bets. This is going to be vlog number 14. Today we're playing 1-3 at Encore up in Boston. Pretty cool poker room. Glad I got the chance to go play up there. We got a pretty quality session for you guys today.
I've been to Encore one time. It's kind of hard to get to. It's like in the middle of the city. I almost drove right past it. But they don't really prioritize poker. It's kind of like more gambly. Actually, their poker room, for when I played it, is in the middle of the high-limit slot area. So a little distracting.
So we're going to break it down, analyze some of the interesting hands. Obviously, the last two vlogs where I played at Gate City and Turning Stone did very well, so I'm really happy about that. And I think I'm going to continue this sort of series, if you will. I'm going to try and play in as many spots up in New England that we can, get all over. As long as we can film in the poker room, I think I want to go play there. So yeah, let's just go experience as many different places as possible. If you guys have a card room that you play at frequently in the New England area, comment down below and I might just go and play and film a session there. So without further ado, let's hop into this video where we play 1-3 at Encore in Boston, Mass.
Alright, so just a note about the 1-3. The rake is pretty high. Here, I have it pulled up for you guys. So here, Boston Harbor Encore. Zoom in for you guys. So there's the poker room. Here's the buy-in. It's 100 to 500 max. So actually fairly deep from a max buy-in perspective. So pretty nice as opposed to, let's say, like a 300 cap. I don't love, just personally, the 9 max. I obviously prefer like an 8 max. 6 max is my favorite, but 9 max just seems a little too high for me. 1-3, right? There's a straddle under the gun. Here's really where it's not that great, right? There's a house rake, 10% up to $10. For reference, I mean that's very high, right? Especially at a 1-3 game where pots are going to typically be smaller. Plus, they're taking $2 per promos, so they're taking essentially $12 out of every pot. So if you're playing small pots, like, you're just going to get crushed. So unfortunately, that's the way it is. It's honestly one of the reasons that I haven't been up there that much. That's why if I'm gonna go to Encore, I would oh, here you see like Chaser's Poker Room. Here, I'll just pull it up quick for you. Yeah, you can see 10% up to 5. Played there quite a bit when I was up in New England. But that's why I would probably play like the 2-5, because you can just buy in for a bit more, or even you can buy in for 500, the same that you would for 1-3. And still have a little bit of a stack. And then the rake is the same. So they're just going to be taking the same rake, but out of traditionally bigger pots. There you go. Oh, nice. I like this little montage shot. Whoa. Did you see that? Hold on, I'll take that back. He almost rear-ended this guy. Come on, Dukes. Gotta pay attention, brother. Oh, yeah, look at that. Beautiful, beautiful resort.
Alright, vlog. We just arrived at Encore in Boston. This place is quite the degenerate jungle gym, I have to say. It's pretty crazy looking just from the outside. I haven't really been in yet, but we're going to go check it out. This is my first time here, so I don't really know what I'm getting myself into. I do know that the rake is pretty bad from what I've heard, so we're definitely going to be trying to play some 3-bet or fold. Got to avoid the small pots. Small pots are how you lose in high rake games, so a lot of 3-betting. We're also going to try and tighten up a bit pre-flop. I think after reviewing the last vlog, we were playing a bit too loose, a bit too aggressive, so We're just going to chill.
Right. So sorry to cut you off, Dukes, but right, it's a great point what he said, right? So if the rake's so high, good way to remedy that is I'm just not playing any small pots, right? Rake obviously affects you more the smaller the pot is. That's really good strategy. And then if you haven't checked out that other vlog, it's really good. The one at Gate City, formerly Boston Billiards, now Gate City Casino up in New Hampshire. That's really good. So it looks like he's starting the session about 1:45.
We're going to chill today. Play our game. We have the Barbie shirt on, so we're probably gonna win like $1,000.
Barbie shirt plus EV, plus EV.
And yeah, let's go turn some sand into gold. We walk into the Encore poker room. They give us kind of a hard time for having a backpack, so we have to go run back to our car, get rid of our backpack. We throw all of our filming equipment into like a small little lunchbox that I had. So that was sort of unfortunate, but other than that, no real issues. The online list at Encore is very long.
Right, so sorry to cut him off again. Right, so just the no backpack thing is just sort of another point where I was saying it's not really poker player friendly. So again, I've only been there once, but it's just sort of like you have to go up the escalator to find the poker room. It's like being moved. I heard when I was there that they're building a new room, like across the street even, or something like that, like in a different building. So it's like so anti-poker player, which I was very happy that he told me that they let him vlog, because it is really like no backpacks, you know, like come on, grow up. Like I got a lot of stuff to carry. Like what if he's playing high stakes and he's got to carry a bunch of money? Like was he gonna just hold it in his hand or put like a lot of money in his pocket? Like it's kind of ridiculous. And then it's funny because it's not like a great poker environment, but then like the list is like so long because it's like downtown Boston. It's like if you don't have a car, this is the only casino you can really play at. So like you get students from MIT, from Harvard, like all those places coming to play. But the one time I went there, it seemed like, for me at least, like the list was super long. But like when I got in, I like jumped to the front of the list. I think maybe people like check in on the app or something and then don't come in, because I was able to get a seat right away. So hopefully, it doesn't look like he waited too long, right? What was this, 202? The last shot was at, what, 145? So it looks like he got in.
It's usually like 30 or 40 people, so driving up I was a little freaked out by that at first. But then once you look at it, it's really just all call-ins, so nobody's really there. So we pretty much got a seat immediately as soon as we showed up. We buy in for $500, which is the max at the 1-3 table, and we are fired up and ready to gamble.
It's so funny how I just said the same thing before him. We're on the same page.
The first 15 minutes of our session, we pretty much just fold, nothing really too good. In this hand, we pick up Queen 9 offsuit in the small blind. We see an under the gun limp followed by a hijack and a button call. With our hand, we just flick in $2 more out of the small blind, and the big blind checks behind, so we're going 5 ways with a pretty crappy hand.
Probably fine to flick it in. He mentioned earlier he wants to be ISOing, 3-betting, all that stuff. It's low stakes. People are going to be super wide when they limp. Even like worse queens than this could definitely be in there. So like not the worst. I don't love it. It could probably just fold, but it's fine.
The flop comes and we hit it reasonably well here. It's a queen high flop, so not bad for our specific hand. We start with a check, and it checks all the way around to the button player, who bets $15. And with our top pair, we're obviously going to be calling here, so we flick it in. After we call the $15, the big blind player calls, as does the under the gun, so we're still 4 ways to a turn. The turn...
Check calling's fine. I don't hate leads, especially on boards where like people limp with a lot of suited combos, right? So if this goes checks around and then another diamond comes, it's kind of like you're in no man's land. So I don't mind just betting, denying equity. You block some straight draws too, which might be relevant later, but probably fine. It looks like it's 217. This might be like one of the first hands he's playing, so might just want to settle in and play a small one. Even though that's not like GTO or the best strategy, sometimes it's good to ease your way into a session, kind of build the confidence slowly.
Here comes the ace of hearts. Once again, we check. This is a pretty bad card for us for obvious reasons. And it checks all the way around, so we get to play a free river. The river comes the king.
I don't know how many aces other people are going to have other than ace high diamonds. Maybe ace 10 offsuit, maybe if they're limping that. I'm not quite sure. Ace 3 maybe.
King of diamonds, so this board really just ran out very poorly for our specific holding. We
yeah, I mean, can't beat anything that's betting for value at this point, right? Flushes get there, any jack, 2 overs. So
Jack once again, ready to be done with it. And the big blind now bets $25. It folds all the way around to me, and I pretty quickly just release my hand here. We are certainly not good with this run out. Really not that significant of a hand, but this was the first hand of the day that we V-pipped, so I figured I'd throw it in there. Next hand of the session, we pick up King 10 of diamonds in the hijack. We see a low jack limp to $3, and I make it 20 to go. Everyone folds.
So, GTO perspective, 20 is like so big, right? But I'm sure in live poker, people open really big. I'm sure the standard open was probably 15, playing more like a 2-5 game. And so this is like 15 plus the limp, right? So, you know, it's pretty standard open size. So if you're an online player, this might look really big, but very standard for live poker.
And we pick up all of the money in the pot and win our first pot at Encore. Next hand of the day, we pick up Ace Queen of Spades in the hijack once again. We see a +1 raise to $12 from a good player who also said he watches the vlogs, which was pretty cool to hear. Never really been recognized at a casino before, so first time for everything, I guess. Shout out to you, Mario.
All right, so often under the gun open. We could put this one on the solver. I guess he says he's in the hijack, right? I'm anticipating that he's going to be flatting Ace Queen O a lot. Even maybe be flatting some Ace Queen suited. But from this position, he might also just be trying to play 3-better fold with the rig structure.
The raise to 12, we see the low jack flat the $12, who's definitely a fun player. We squeeze.
I mean, now with the flat, it's probably an easy squeeze. Probably making this 36. So I'm probably making this 3x plus the dead money. So 12 times 3, 36, plus the 12 is 48. Probably making this like 55.
Things up to $40 to go. And we get both players to call here, so we're going 3.
Too small. Really too small. $40. I mean, it's like it's 3x plus a little. I just think it's small because nobody folds in live poker.
Both 3 ways in a 3-bet pot with a pretty good suited ace.
Both players call. So 3-way, 3-bet pot. Like
the flop comes ace 7-3 all hearts.
Yeah. All right. So good flop. Top pair, right? On the monochrome board, he's gonna get either small sizes like 33% or checking back. In a 3-bet pot, though, I think you can go a little bit smaller. 4th is fine. So, or even like a 5th, right? If you bet 25 on this flop, I think it's totally fine. Or just checking back also is fine because these players are gonna like telegraph their hand strength on the turn with either their bet sizing or with their action. So I don't mind a check back, but I'd probably bet like 25 to 35 in that range, 25 to 35, 40 being the biggest I'd bet here.
So we definitely flopped a good top pair, but it's a little bit dicey on the monotone board. They both check and flow over to me, and I'm going to put out a bet here to protect against 1 heart holdings and any sort of draws that they may have. We definitely have the best ace. As played, nobody can really have ace-king. They could have 7s or 3s, I suppose, but it doesn't seem super likely. We bet $50, and they both pretty quickly fold their hands. So we pick up a nice pot here in a 3-way, 3-bet pot.
Right, so that's actually a big bit of information. I don't know if you guys caught that.
Quickly fold their hand.
But you see this guy folds 5s, so he double flats the 5s. So he's just going to be super wide. So you do have to be careful of some of these lower boards like ace, rag, because he can show up with sets. Dukey just said, I'm not sure if he's going to have 3s. If he's having 5s, then he maybe could have these 3s in range. So pretty sticky, right? So I wouldn't probably 3-bet bluff this guy. It's open, right? So here you see the cutoff fairly linear, right? Just down the middle, right? Just 3-betting your good, great, and best hands. But probably against this guy, I'm probably going to be eliminating these sort of bluffs, right? If he's not folding. So you don't need to 3-bet suited connectors or these wheel aces if he's not folding a hand like pocket 5s, right? So just kind of maybe even like 8s or 9s plus, and just this best suited broadways you'll have.
So we pick up a nice pot here in a 3-way, 3-bet pot.
Nice answer.
Next hand of the day, we are in the hijack once again, and we pick up ace-jack offsuit. We see a low-jack limp, and we bump it up to our standard open of $20. The button cold calls our $20, and it gets back to the limper, and he calls as well, so we are going 3 ways in a single raise pot, sandwiched in between 2 players. The flop comes queen-jack 10 with 2 hearts. We have no heart in our hand. And
I wish I said this before the flop came out. I would probably be checking my range here in between these two players, just because the button's going to stab really wide when check 2. And so you can win the pot often by check raising, and then you just get a lot of information when you do this. And also, if it checks around, then the low jack player will be betting 100 almost with all his strong hands on the turn. And so if he goes check, it checks around, and then check again, you can kind of just eliminate his hand. So it's kind of weird playing monkey in the middle, but I'd probably be checking 100.
Honestly, I felt like this was a pretty bad board for my hand at the time. I feel like this board is really going to smash the button overcalling range here a lot. He's going to have a lot of 8-9 and Jack 10 and things of that nature.
So the button actually is going to be fairly wide calling. So, but if we look at like what a calling range looks like, it's fairly wide, right? And like live players are not finding as many 3-bets as the solver is going to find. So it's, with this being a fairly wide range, like calling all his suited aces, which I think is probably true. So he will have a lot of like heart draws and things like this. But, you know, definitely just calling some suited connectors that just whiff. You know, some lower pairs that can't really continue on this board. So, like I said, I still like the check 100, but I don't know how like afraid I would be of the button's range necessarily, right? Like I don't think he has any of the sets when he just flats. So, and also probably not ace king. So we, in the hijack, we probably have the nut advantage, which is really great for us. So I think if we are betting this flop, we should bet large because we have the nut advantage, even though it is a pretty connected board. But we'll see.
So we just check, and he checks behind, so we get a free turn, which comes the magical Jack of Diamonds. The low jack checks it.
Perfect. I should have paused it before we saw the jack on the turn. But great, we make trips on the turn, which is good. But I would say, this is what we just talked about, right? Checking 100, because when the button checks behind, it's like we always have the best hand with these kinds of things. And then even when we don't, like let's say we had an air ball here. Like let's say we had a hand like ace 5 of clubs, something random, right? When the button checks back, if this low jack player now checks the jack on the turn, I think we just get to bet with impunity. And just take the pot away like a lot. Maybe not so much on the board pair, but like because it just changes the nuts so much. But yeah, I mean, probably can still bet. Here on the turn, when it brings in the double flush draw, I think solver's gonna get a lot of over bets here. I think so. If the low jack checks again, I'll run this hand in the solver, just ignoring the low jack, because limp calling and then checking is kind of like a little bit pointless. Like I don't think your strategy changes so much. I think if he checks again, then I would just play my strategy as if I'm heads up with the button, because I think he's telling me he's done with his hand.
Over to me once again, and it's now time to start betting. As played, nobody can really have queens or tens, so with the exception of Jack 10 or Queen Jack, we really have the best hand here, and we are also blocking those combos, so that helps. We bet $30, and the button folds, and the low jack pretty quickly puts in the call. So
I don't know if I love half pot. I mean, I don't know if he thought about the sizing enough. Like he's right. Like he's never behind on this board, right? The only thing that, you know, the only way that he could be behind on this board is if the low jack checked the flop with 9-8 or with Jack 10 or something random. But I would say he's always betting this on the turn probably. So I just think 30 is too small, right? Like you want to charge the flush draws. Is a queen going to continue for the size? Probably, but I think a queen continues bigger too. People hate to fold in live poker, especially like, oh look, there's so many draws. My opponent's betting. He probably has a draw.
the button folds, and the low jack pretty quickly puts in the call. So we're heads up to the river. The river comes the king of spades, so we now improve to a straight. Improving to the straight doesn't really matter here all too much, I don't think. We pretty much had the best hand anyways, so if anything, this is just bad for us now. And when this river comes, the low jack player now rips his stack all in the middle.
Well, that's kind of a gross spot. How much is it? 124 to... Oh, he pots it, huh? I was actually going to say if he bet... I couldn't see with his hands how much he had behind. I was going to say if he like bet thinking, oh, I can get him off a chop, I might consider raising as a bluff with the removal to queen jack, king jack, jack 10. But when he rips it here, like... I don't think we could fold because like I said, we block all those full houses, right? He's never going to have kings, never going to have queens, probably not going to have tens. So we're only losing to Jack 10, Jack Queen, and Jack King. And so there's what? There's 3 combos of each. So we lose to 9 combo. Like, we're mostly chopping here, right? So I don't know. I couldn't fold it. I mean, every once in a while, like, could this guy just randomly show up with like Jack 9 and like on these low this is why I say like this game, especially the 1-3 with the high rake, is like so tough to play. Like one time I'm playing in this, not in this game exactly, but in a 1-3 game at Chasers, and it was a board just like this, except the Jack didn't pair on the turn, but it was a 4-liner, and I had an ace, and I was like, let me just try and get this guy off a chop. So I like 2x potted the river, like shoved it, and he tanks and just he called with what was King Queen, the equivalent of King Queen on this board, top 2. So it's like you never know like if they're overvaluing something. But I would have a hard time folding because we have a Jack. If we had a hand like, if we actually had Ace King, like we flopped it and then it ran out like this, I would have a much easier time folding than with the Jack blocker. But I think we just flick it in and expect to chop a lot.
It's $117. There's really not that many boat combos that he can have. He is playing an interesting play style at the very least. It's a nice way of putting it. So we put in the call, and he shows ace-8 offsuit, so he got there for the straight, and we chop it up.
This is another reason why I would say just size up on the turn, right? Because, you know, I have a double gutter, right, with like ace-8, but like even he is not, because I think the pot was like 60. He's not peeling if you bet 75, right? But like nut flush draws, I have a gutter and a flush draw, might peel, and queen X are going to peel too. Like, imagine this, right? You have a bluff, and your opponent shows you that they have top pair. How much on the turn do you have to bet when there's a flush draw out there to get them to fold? Like, infinite amounts of money, right? Nobody folds in live low-stakes poker on the turn, especially when there's draws out there with top pair. So,
unfortunate river card for us, considering how large the pot did end up getting, and that all could have been ours if we just had a nice little brick on the river. But a chop is better than a loss, so we will take it. On to the next hand. 10 minutes later, we pick up ace deuce of diamonds in the big blind. We see the low jack and the high jack players limp, and the small blind player, the player we just battled with, raises things up to 15.
If we're going to ignore the limps and just play this, how much do we have effective? We're looking, I guess, we'll go 100 bigs deep, because I think the small blind is short. So if we ignore the limpers, I'll pull up the solver here. So if we're ignoring the limpers, when the solver opens, you can see ace deuce mostly called, but sometimes 3-bet, 35% 3-bet, right? But I would say with the dead money, I would be more inclined to 3-bet. So I'd bump this number up to 40, maybe even 50, right? Especially like I get to play in position. If I know the guy's a donkey, right? He's like peeling with ace-8. I might want to play more pots in position with him because he's just going to make a lot of mistakes. So I don't mind mixing a 3-bet here, but call is probably preferred. But aggressive actions are always good. Always my favorite ones to take.
I put in dollars. I put in the call here. Maybe this is a spot where I should be 3-betting, but against this specific player, I think it's better to definitely just call. I don't really think 3-betting against this guy with a weak ace is really ever the move.
He makes a good point, right? Oh, up over 2,000. I don't think you guys can see that on the stream. He's up over 2,000 views. Let's go, dude. Oh, and before I forget, hit that like button when you're watching his videos, right? Helps him out a lot. So, right. So we said earlier, I don't know if we want to be 3-bet bluffing, that if this is the same guy with 5s, right? I don't want to be using a merged linear range where I'm only 3-betting my good, great, and best hands versus I'm going to 3-bet with a balance where I have some bluffs and I don't. If he is the guy who peeled 5s, then I do think calling is probably better with the suited ace. The only issue is now, let's say we flop an ace. Do we really know where we are, you know? Especially when we flat, we let these guys come in behind. But suited wheel ace plays fine multi-way. So actually, on further thought, the flat is totally fine, especially if this is the guy with 5s.
Low jack puts in the call and the high jack folds, so we are 3 ways to a flop with ace deuce. The flop comes ace high 2-tone, so reasonable start for us, I'd say. The small blind puts in a
This is the exact board we were just talking about.
Continuation bet of $20. I'm not folding top pair to this guy. I call, and the low jack folds, so we are heads up to the turn with 88 bucks in the middle. The turn comes the 10 of diamonds, so it pairs the board. Small blind now slows down and checks, and I'm happy to check back, play some pot control here. Don't need to bloat this pot with top pair, no kicker. The river comes the jack of diamonds, which is a pretty decent card for us, I'd say. If he does have an ace, we're likely chopping. I think he would probably bet the turn with ace queen and ace king. So if he is going to bet an ace here, we are probably just good to call and chop a lot. But he doesn't bet here, he checks it. And I think it's time to definitely go for some value here. I can see this player calling bets with all kinds of stuff, so I'm definitely going to go for some value.
I like it. It's thin, but I do like going for value. The only question here that I might have is, what is he supposed to call with? And I guess if he ends up here with some Jack X, he can call. When he checks the river, he's kind of telling us he has some sort of showdown value. So maybe smaller pairs like, he could, I guess, have kings and queens in this line, but he probably has like a lot of pairs. Maybe he has some sort of flush draw. Hopefully, I think ideally we're targeting Jack X and some pairs like kings, queens, nines, eights, all that stuff. So what do we go for? We go for 30 into... Nice small bet. All right, I might even size up, go for 40. I don't really like to bet less than half pot in position on the river, just because you sometimes increase the bluffing frequency of guys who are never finding bluffs in the first place. But
we bet $30, and he pretty quickly calls with king 7 of diamonds for just king.
What? Did he misread the board? Did he think that this ace was a diamond? King 7 of diamonds. What?
High.
We fast rolled it. Oh my god. What? Wow. Dealer, where are the diamonds for the kid? One-time diamonds.
Would have lost with a diamond. Oh, look at that. Diamond come up there.
Damn, king high.
What?
You didn't believe me that much?
Huh?
You didn't believe me?
No,
Yeah, strange hand for sure, but we'll take it. I mean, that's one of the dumbest hands I've ever seen, honestly. Next hand of the day, we pick up king queen of spades in the hijack. Probably one of the prettiest hands there is, to be honest with you. We see the low jack player limp in once again, and I raise things up to $20. We get the button player who calls. He's a competent reg, I'd say.
This guy is a limping machine. It seems like we're playing a lot of low jack, hijack button pots today.
And everyone else folds, so we're heads up out of position with a pretty decent hand. The flop comes ace, queen, 5, 2 hearts, so we flop a piece. Pretty good for our range as well. We're going to stick in a bet here. I think I could check as well, but because this board is going to be so much better for me than him, I'm happy to bet small here. We make it 20 bucks, and he pretty...
20 bucks. Half pot about. He loves the half pot size. Solver doesn't love half pot as much. What do we have here? So I guess we'll choose this small size. And then, is he continuing with worse from the button? Sure, worse queens continue. Some straight draws and stuff. I think it's fine. Just as a side note, you do have to make sure that you do check back some hands, like, you know, with some showdown value, right? You can't just check all your air and bet when you make a pair.
Quickly calls, we're going to a turn. The turn comes the 6 of diamonds. I'm going to slow down here and check now, and he pretty quickly bets $45, and we're just going to get away from this hand. Pretty interesting spot, though.
Wow, kind of a tight fold if he's really just going to fold. So we bet, we call, and then the turn is the 6 of diamonds, so just kind of a blank sort of turn. Our suits are off, guys, sorry. Lucid doesn't let you... customize the suits exactly, so you got to use your imagination a little. Yeah, we're just pure checking now with our hand, and then he bets. I guess he doesn't use an overbet, so I guess he's going to use this 6 size, kind of on the larger side. Wow, good for him. We are just folding out 83% of the time. So this play from Dukey Bets, GTO approved.
I'd say because this is a good, respectable player, I'd say. So in my opinion, he could definitely have stolen the pot from me here on the turn. But just the speed in which he put the bet in makes me think that he did have a real hand. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Should I check the flop here for pot control and then maybe bet the turn instead? Let me know what you guys would do. On to the next hand. Next hand of the day, we pick up Queen.
He played it fine. I mean, I'm sort of a fish, so I probably call the turn.
Jack of hearts. Under the gun, we're playing 1-3-6. Our friend to the right has the straddle on to $6, and we raise things up to 20 bucks. It folds all.
This looks like I can see the ring in the corner. This looks like the same guy. I mean, he has the best hand in poker. What do you want him to do? Not raise it? This is the single best hand that they've ever made. Of course he's raising it up.
All the way around to the straddler, and he rips things all in for $94. Ugh. This guy's putting us in spots all day long.
This is a bit of a weird one, right? He's on a short stack, so he could just be tilted, ripping it in. I mean, it's my favorite hand. How do you fold this? It's my favorite hand. How can you fold? Little gross though, right? He seems to be like a limp kind of call conservative guy. So I don't know if we're ever getting it in super good ahead, but you have 40% of a royal. I mean, especially this is a fun guy who likes to give action. I don't know. I'm flicking it in probably, but folding is probably fine too.
After breaking down the math, we are calling $74 to win $192. Obviously, that excludes the rake, but that means we need 38.5% to make this a profitable call. It's going to be a little bit higher than that once you take.
Who is this guy? He's looking like me out here with the percentages and the little nerdy math stuff. Good for you.
Out $10 to $12 worth of rake. Against most players, this would be a snap fold, but not this guy. I think he could have anywhere from 2s up and then maybe even like Jack 10 suited, 10-9 suited, etc. He's definitely a splashy player. We've seen him do things like call with king high on the river. Also worth mentioning, a hand that I didn't include in the vlog, I raised under the gun and he just clicked it back and he ended up having queens in that spot. So I'm honestly able to eliminate aces, kings, queens, maybe even jacks, just because I think if he had those hands, he would just click it back. He's shown that the super strong hands, he's clicking rather than jamming. So I'm eliminating some piece of the top region of his range. So for the most part, I just think like we kind of have to call here. I don't know. Maybe we don't have to at all. Maybe we're just gambling here. Let me know what you guys think. We end up making the call here and he has ace king offsuit. After checking the equities, we have about 38% equity. So it's pretty much a break-even call. We're losing a few chips in terms of EV here, but not by much. We run things once, obviously, versus ace king, and here's the run out.
We're still live. Show me 38%, dealer. Come on.
What is that, like 90 something?
90 something, yeah. So it's gonna be like 96, 94.
All right, let's gamble.
Gamble.
Yep. Am I way behind? All right. I got queen jack suited.
We got a straight. One of us gonna catch one.
Yeah. I'm
Somebody's
behind.
gonna catch one.
3 in the window.
Oh. Stay that way.
Nice hand. I think in a really close spot like this, it's always better to err on the side of caution, and just throwing your hand away here really can't hurt you that much. But in this specific spot against this player, I think this call is fine, to be honest with you. We have direct position on this guy. He's played literally every hand for the last hour and a half. So giving this guy some chips really isn't that bad. We'll likely have opportunities to earn them back in the future. So yeah, I really don't hate my gamble here, but let me know. Next hand of the day, we pick up pocket kings on the button. Up until this point, this is the strongest hand that we've received from the dealer. So we're very eager to click some buttons and put some chips in the middle with this one. We see an under the gun and a +1 limp, and then the grandma in the hijack position clicks it up to $6, so that's certainly interesting.
It's never a strong hand, right? When it goes limp and she makes it 6, it just isn't. People are raising larger with their really good hands, right? Like aces, ace king, that stuff. So Duke's going to be way ahead of her range here.
With my pocket kings, I'm going to be putting more money in the middle. We make it 25 to go. I could maybe even go like 30 or 35 here, I think, but 25 seems all right. We don't.
Yeah, I could probably definitely go larger. I mean, you want to go 3x plus a dead money, right? So 18, that would be 21, 23, 26, 27. But again, people don't fold, so like 35 is probably where I'd end up. But 25, fine. Probably going to be playing heads up, 3-bet pot in position. So that's what you want to do.
I want to scare everybody off. The under the gun limper makes the call, and everyone else folds. So we're going heads up to a flop with some dead money in there as well. The flop.
Interesting. So limp call and the initial raiser fold. So probably putting him in a lot of like suited connector, kind of low pair garbage.
Flop comes King Jack 6 two-tone board with 2 spades. The under the gun player checks
Flop and
it
top
over
set's
to
always
me,
a good way
and
to
I bet
start.
$20. In hindsight, I definitely need to be betting larger here for 2 reasons.
This is interesting because against a big blind defend, you do end up getting a lot of overbets on certain boards. I wonder if this is one of them. Again, Dukey Bets better at poker than I. Solver is almost pure betting the small size. You see, we do get some overbets, but just not picking kings in this line. Are picking jacks, are picking sixes, are picking king jack suited for this overbet size, but not picking the pocket kings. So score 2 for Dukey, I think that is. Dukey Bets 2, JQ Poker 0.
In hindsight, I definitely need to be betting larger here for 2 reasons. Reason 1 is this is a two-tone board with some straight and flush draws, obviously. So if we bet third here, that doesn't really get those hands to fold often enough. Second reason we need to go larger is this player has about $140 behind. So based on his effective stack, this really should just be a 2-street hand, like bet the flop, get it all in on the turn, go from there. If we bet 40 or 45 here, we would set up a 1-to-1 jam on the turn, which seems a lot cleaner than what we end up doing. So we bet $20, he just calls. Now we're going to a turn with $103 in the middle. The turn comes the 4.
So he seems to agree with me. He should be going a little bit bigger. I actually didn't see the stack was so short. Obviously, it becomes really tricky to overbet. Usually Solver's not even overbetting this hand, but even if it did mix an overbet, it becomes difficult with the stack sizes being so weird. So on such short stack, like what is that, like 140 divided by 3, it's like 45 bigs. Yeah, probably just going to go two-thirds, like a geometric, trying to get it in.
The turn comes the 4 of clubs, bringing in a second flush draw now. He checks it over
I mean, now with the second flush draw, I think we're totally good to just overbet jam this turn.
to me once again, and I jam for $125.
All in to quit.
As you guys can clearly see, this would look a lot cleaner if we bet slightly larger on the flop, but instead we're slightly over betting the turn, which I think is still fine. Not as cute as we would like it to look here.
People are so afraid of, I mean, not picking on Duke, but a lot of people are like afraid to overbet the pot. Like when you first learn about bet sizings and stuff, you think, oh, I can bet 1/3, I can bet half pot, I can bet 2/3. And you kind of feel like bounded by this like percentage model of like up to 100% pot. But like there's so many interesting strategies like GTO and then exploitatively that you can use like huge big bet sizings. I've been trying to integrate some overbets into my game more. It's just really hard to play against people who overbet often. So I like this play. I do agree though, probably should be trying to go Geo 2. Geo, when I say Geo, that means geometric, which is where you're betting the exact same percentage of the pot on each street to get it all in. And then 2 or 3, 2 meaning you get it in on the turn, 3 meaning you get it in on the river. So a Geo 2 sizing here would probably be around 2/3, which would be 2/3 of the pot on the flop. And then on the turn, that same 2/3 sizing is your all in.
After we go all in for about $125 effective, he tanks for a really long time and eventually makes the correct lay down. I assume he had some sort of draw and he laid it down correctly. Yeah, pretty interesting hand. We still got a good amount of value out of it and won a decently large pot, so we will take it. Next hand of the day, we pick up Queen 3 offsuit in the big blind. We see a low jack limp, the cutoff calls, the button calls, and so does the small blind. We have Queen 3 offsuit, so we are tapping the table here. Don't really want to be raising this hand ever. So we go 5 ways to a flop with a hand we don't really want to play, but we're sort of forced to. And we're an absolute chick magnet here because there's 2 queens on the flop, as well as a deuce to go with it. So we flop
Dukey Bets confirmed chick magnet.
Trips really good start for us. I check in flow and it checks all the way around to the button, who bets $6 into about 15. I don't really want to give up the strength of my hand just yet, so I just put in the call with a few people left to act behind.
I like that. I like just calling like, oh, we don't want to give up the strength of our hand, right? But you're behind every other queen, right? Even queen deuce is better than yours. So like, I think kind of silly to raise. You think you're just blowing people off of their 0% equity when you raise, or just putting money in like way behind.
and everyone else folds, unfortunately, but we're heads up to the turn, which comes the Jack of Hearts. So at this point, now that we're heads up, we're pretty much trying to get as much money in as possible. This is an older woman we're up against, so it's hard to give her any credit for a bluff. I just feel like every time grandmas bet into a pot, they have something, right? I've never seen a grandma bluff. I check once again in flow, and she bets $6 once again.
But she double barrels. Don't roast me in the comments and call me a nit, right? I'm probably still calling, but I don't love it, right? I might find folds on lower rivers,
value here,
right? Because on lower rivers, our kicker won't play, and I don't know if I really want to be calling 3 streets when grandma's blasted.
It's to be going for value here. It's actually kind of scary going against a grandma, but
I think this is a mistake. I don't think that worse hands are ever calling, really. I just don't think I can name a worse hand. Maybe if she has a hand like Jack 10 that she's betting with the back door, right? But again, she's an older woman. She's never betting with the back door. So sorry, buddy. I think this is an overplay. Hopefully you prove me wrong.
I'm going to raise it up to $30. She thinks for a bit and eventually puts in the call.
Yeah, losing to literally every other queen. This is what looks like a bricky river. Hopefully he doesn't get himself in trouble. But if I'm making predictions, I think it goes big bet, like he bets like 50 or like maybe 55, 60, and she snaps him off with like queen 9 or something.
River comes the 4 of diamonds, so this board ran out pretty clean for our hand. There's about $90 in the pot. I think if I go super crazy here, she might fold a lot. So I just bet 50, don't want to get too greedy. She thinks about it for a bit, gives us a little speech about how we might have a queen, and then puts in the $50 for the call. She flips over ace jack off.
What? She bet the flop with ace jack? And she limped the button, and then bet the flop with ace jack, and then paid you off? Wow, she's invited to my game. If I'm ever running a game, let's get her in there.
And we are good against that, so we win a $187 pot here with the big blind special. Gotta love it. This next hand's a quick one. We see a low jack raise from our friend Mario, who said he watches the vlogs. Again, shout out to you, Mario. He raises things up to $12, and it gets over to me in the button, and I pretty quickly squeeze things up to $40. We have a pretty looking ace.
Yeah, I like it. If it's earlier position, I probably like a flat. The thing about ace jack suited is you're not folding out any better aces when you 3-bet, so it's a little bit tough, and sometimes you just kind of want to realize your equity. Like, is it good enough to 3-bet? Yes. Like, could you get called by worse? Sure. Like ace 10 suited, maybe some suited connectors feel the need to peel late in position. If he is a vlog watcher, sometimes people just kind of do it to try and get in the vlog. They're trying to bluff you, whatever. But I would probably lean toward flatting this hand, especially the shorter we go, just because you don't really want to be 3-bet folding all this equity. The deeper we are, I like just kind of bumping it up. But I'm not quite sure what the stacks are. I really can't see. Mario's got his plumber glove hands in the way.
Folds all the way on the button. Might as well 3-bet it. Folds all the way back to Mario, and he puts in the call. We're going heads up to a flop. The flop comes jack high with 2 hearts. He checks it on over to us. I put in a $40 c-bet, and he pretty quickly folds. Pretty quick hand, but a nice pickup nonetheless.
Good. Don't show him. I'll see it on the vlog.
Yeah, he just resigned.
Right, you don't want to show and give away information in game, but especially if you're a vlogger, I'm never showing. Dude, if you want to see it, go like, subscribe to the channel. And if you haven't already, go do that on mine. It's down there somewhere. And then go on his video, like, subscribe it. He's blowing up. He deserves it.
Next hand of the day, we pick up pocket 6s in the under the gun position. There's the straddle on to $6, and you solver nerds are really gonna hate this one, but we limp it in here. I think.
Oh, he's talking to me. I do hate this one. So I don't hate limping as a general thing. I just don't like open limping, right? He can just fold out all the trash in the straddle that he now, that will have an overpair. Like 9 deuce O is just going to check this straddle now. And that has so much equity against 6s, right? With the overcard. It's just, come on, Dukes. Come on, man. All right, whatever. He's going to limp, call a raise, and flop a set, and he's the best.
Low pocket pairs like this, I kind of like limping them in early position, but it's probably not GTO approved, so don't listen to me. I limp it in, and
he knows it's bad. You can hear him. He knows it's bad. He's losing 0.05 big blinds per 100. Oh, my God. That's what I sound like right now. Anyways, he's going to flop a set.
You see the +1 call, as does the hijack and the cutoff. It gets over to the button player, and he squeezes things up to $40. It folds back over to me, and I really don't believe this guy. I've seen this guy click a few buttons. He seems like a decent...
Right, but the issue is when you limp call these low pairs, you're playing bingo, right? You're winning the pot 1 in 12 times when you flop a set. Other than that, 1 in 7 times, 12%. Other than that, you're never ever winning the pot, right? Because you just can't really bluff, right? Because when you limp, you eliminate the top parts of your range, and so it becomes so hard to bluff because your limping range is like so capped and so disguised. It's so hard to try and represent strength on later streets. So it's basically, I make the best hand, I get paid, or I just have to light these $40 on fire, which you're going to be doing a lot of the time.
He's a decent enough player, but definitely on the aggressive side for sure. Against some players, I would obviously be snap folding my pocket sixes, but against this guy, I think we can see a flop with them.
I will say, if you are limping sixes, I don't think you're limping to fold. So, like, even though the squeeze is big, and you could be doing this with anything, like, I'm on the button, if I looked on any ace, right, maybe any ace above ace 3, I might be squeezing, but, you know. Let's flop a set. Come on, guys. Put in the chat that you want to flop a set. Sixes in the chat for set flopping.
So that's what we do. I put in the call and everyone else folds, so we're going heads up out of position with about $108 in the middle. The flop comes Jack 7-6, rainbow board.
Let's
Beautiful
go.
flop for us. We
Let's go.
Bottom set. I'm going to check it over, check and flow. I think he's going to have a decent amount of continues on this board. Hands like over pairs, maybe ace jack, king jack, things like that. He'll have a fair amount of bets, and there's really not many draws he can have when he sort of 3-bets pre-flop. Like, he's not really going to have 8-9 suited or anything like that. So we're either extremely ahead or extremely behind. Like, he could have jacks, I guess. We check and he checks back, so that kind of stinks for us. Turn comes the queen of spades. Things get a little dicier. Now hands like ace king of spades have a decent draw. So I think with respect to that, this card is going to be much better for his range than mine. So I decide to check here once again.
I don't love that. I kind of want to pile money in here. I probably want to bet like 65 or something. I mean, we have a really strong hand, and it sucks if he just has a hand like ace high that he thinks has showdown value and he checks it back. Right? I don't think he's going to start bluffs with those hands with showdown value on the turn. Like if he has a hand like tens or nines, maybe, like those hands might peel one street for a bet, but probably won't be betting themselves. So I just like a bet here.
In hindsight, I think I should just throw all the GTO mumbo jumbo out of the way here and bet my set. It's live poker. We're playing low stakes. I should probably be shoveling money in here.
But I don't think even, I mean, GTO goes out the door when you limp and stuff, but I don't even think GTO, let's treat it as an open, right? So if he opens under the gun and the button 3-bets, when it folds back to him, we are peeling with some sixes rather. Here, let's show you that. Opened to 2, got 3-bet by the button. This is simulating the limp off the straddle, right? So this is fairly reasonable, right? Let's say like we limp the straddle, which is 2 bigs, right? He squeezes up. We are peeling 74% with the sixes, so when we do that and the flop comes Jack 7-6, rainbow, probably check 100ing. Yes, we are. And he checked back a decent amount, and he bets big a decent amount, but when he does choose to check back on this blank turn, I haven't looked yet. But I anticipate we're getting big bets. We're getting big bets with sixes. Big bets with sixes. Maybe even over bets. Yeah, pure over bets. Pure over bet with the 6-6. Never checking. Never checking any sets. I mean, that's not true. Sevens check every once in a while. Jacks check a lot. Turn pair of queens check a lot, but I mean, we never have queens or jacks in this configuration. We might have sevens, I guess, if we're limping sixes. But yeah, big bets on this turn. Just want to pile the money in. So don't blame this particular turn play on GTO, man. This is on you. You see how defensive I get because I'm like such a poker nerd? No, all right, put the money in here. 125, or I mean, I like 6. My gut said I like 66 as like a creepy number for the sixes, but.
At this point, if we get a little bit trappy and just check, I mean, it is what it is. What are you going to do? And he checks back once again, so I'm kind of kicking myself for not betting the turn at this point. We haven't got...
Like I said, all his ace highs check back, all his lower pairs check back. That might peel.
and any value so far. The river comes the 4 of hearts, and at this point I need to put in a bet. I need to get something. He really hasn't shown any sort of aggression whatsoever, so that makes me think his hand is quite weak. I don't really think he...
I agree, and that means we can't go for the check raise in this street, right? We have to get money in. I might be creepy and like make it 150 or 200 or something to try and just get paid. I mean, he played it so weird, right? He looks so weak. Maybe he can find, like, if he did somehow check a hand that's like strong, maybe we could, like, if he checked tens or something, he could find a hero if we spaz it off, like we make it so big. But we'll see.
He has a jack. I don't really think he has a queen. I think maybe he could have like 10s, 9s, 8s, maybe something like that. We go with a half pot size here. I think this is a pretty good size to get called on, especially when the action goes check, check, check all the way to the river. We put in the $50 bet, and he snaps us off with ace queen, and I'm really pissed at myself for this hand.
Ace queen. Wow. But yeah, like I said, overbet. Yeah, if you do the overbet on the turn, he's never folding ace queen, and you could probably get all the money in by the river. I also don't love the half pot $50 sizing. It's just like, so like in between. I don't mind like the block bet, see if you get raised, like block bet to induce the raise, or the big boy size. But yeah, I just bet bigger on the turn, just bet bigger on the river as well. I mean, we could have played a 3-bet pot, right? Like if we open the 6s, it gets 3-bet, and we peel, which we're doing a lot. I mean, oof, just playing like a huge pot with the set is like so delicious. But 118, can't really complain when we're dragging that much.
He won the absolute minimum here, and this guy kind of wrecked us. Yeah, he took our soul on this hand.
He didn't do anything, Duke. Come on, man. Don't give him that credit. Don't give him that credit. We just got to play the hand slightly differently, and we wreck his world. Anyways, can't complain when we're dragging pots, but we'll make a couple adjustments. He knows. He knows. He's a good player. He knows.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really. They told him earlier it was okay, so don't tell them earlier.
So yeah, after filming for about 3 hours, the floor...
I hate when they do this. They did this to me in Resorts World Catskills. That'll come up. They did this to me at a session of Chasers. Like, it's so stupid, right? Because the thing is, nobody knows, really. It's like, it seems to be up to the floor, whether they like it or they don't like it. Like, if they get a complaint, they shut it down. Like, I get it. But, like, if somebody asks me at the table, hey, can you turn that off or don't include me? Of course, I'm not going to do that, right? But, like, because before I go to a place to film, I always do 3 things. 1, I Google. I Google or use AI if Google doesn't know, right? Does this property allow you to record? And it's my understanding that Win properties, which Encore is a part of, do allow recordings, right? And you can see, you hear him, right? He said, I recorded for 3 hours before, and even somebody at the table tries to defend him, right? So that's the first thing I look at. Okay, is that allowed? Second, I look on YouTube. I look on YouTube. Are there poker vlogs here, from other creators, right? I know for a fact Brad Owen did a meetup game or a session. Actually, not a meetup game. So, like, yes, there is content already. And the third thing is, you call and you ask. So it sounds like he looked it up before. He did all the right procedures. Even this guy does right said the other floor told him. So it's just sort of like one floor says it's okay, another floor says, I just want to ruin this kid's day. Like, it's so stupid. Yeah. Anyways, this is my frustration.
Finally comes over to me and says that I can't film anymore. Pretty stupid, to be honest. I pretty much filmed the entire session, and they're just now saying something. The guy 2 seats to my left backs me up on it as well, so he's a beast for that. Shout out to that guy. Luckily enough for us...
I honestly just leave when they tell me I can't record anymore, because, like, I get so tilted. Like, I don't think it's dropped yet. You'll see a vlog in a couple weeks about my session at Resorts World Catskills. But, like, I've had a couple sessions where, like, they asked me to turn off my video, and then, like, I get so tilted because, like, even if I win, like, I was like, oh, I, like, almost had this content. There's just no point in playing anymore. It's just so stupid. All right, let's watch the hand simulator.
We pretty much recorded the entire session. We missed about one hand, and it was this one. This hand was a very significant one for the entirety of the session, though, so it is kind of unfortunate that I wasn't able to film it, but that's alright. What are you gonna do? In this hand, we're playing 1-3-6. I pick up ace-king of clubs under the gun, and with big slick suited, we're obviously raising things up. We make it $20 to go. It folds all the way around to grandma in the big blind, and she jams for $135.
Oh... This is going to be tight. I can't fold ace king suited, but this is going to be a very tight range. Imagine the straddle rebangs it. That would be a spot. I mean, can't really fold, but not expecting to be ahead.
It gets back over to me, and I honestly kind of nit rolled her on this one. I was super scared that she had aces and kings.
I mean, you're probably, yeah, you're hoping to be flipping, right? She doesn't really have ace queen, I don't think. So obviously it's a call, but it's probably, for me, it'll be one of these like, fine, take my money, or like, I hope we're flipping, you know, one of these, you throw the chip in.
I really hadn't seen her play any hands except the ace-jack one. She was super tight and very passive for the most part pre-flop, so this was a scary hand for me for sure. Definitely gave her a little bit of a nit roll, but I eventually called with ace-king, and she flipped over ace-queen offsuit, so obviously I felt like a total dick.
Wow, so I'm super wrong tonight. Good for you. For you, Grandma. I am probably the king of nit rolls. I love a good nit roll. Not on purpose. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really considering hero folding. If I nit roll you, I'm very sorry. But I am seriously considering a fold.
After that, we had a nice king in the window too, and we hold to win a $277 pot, and this gave us a nice little profit on the session. Once again, kind of sucks that we couldn't get it on film, but such is life.
Alright, vlog. After literally playing for like all day, like 3.5, 4 hours pretty much, one of the floor guys told me to turn the camera off, stop recording. Sorry. He told me to stop recording. He said it wasn't allowed, which I'm pretty sure this place is owned by the Wynn, so I think the Wynn lets people film poker, but who knows? He told me not to, so I stopped. Pretty intimidating gentleman, didn't really want to get involved with him. He'd probably beat my ass. But yeah, after we stopped filming, we actually stacked a grandma player, so that was pretty cool. We made about 130 bucks on that hand, something like that. Before the rake, obviously. Got an ace-king versus ace-queen, so that was pretty cool. This place is a really interesting spot. On one hand, it's a very nice casino, and I do like playing here. It's not too far from where I live, so that's kind of nice. But on the other hand, the rake is just super egregious. It's like 12 bucks. Something like that, or it's 10% capped at 12, which is crazy compared to some of the New Hampshire places, which is $7-8, so much more manageable. I think if I at one point in time have a bankroll to play 2-5, I'll definitely come here and play 2-5 because the action's good, the casino is nice, it's a good environment. But nonetheless, glad we booked a good win. We were in the game for 500 bucks, out for $7.95 for a profit of $295. We'll definitely take that. Good recovery from our last session at...
Only thing I'm going to say is if you're bringing 500 to play super deep stacked at 1-3, if you take the same 500 to 2-5, you still have 100 bigs, which is still plenty deep at 100 big blinds. And then you could play in the game where the rake doesn't affect as much. You get to play a little tighter and look for squeeze outs, but it's 100 big blinds, right? You could still play, right? So if you're bringing 500 to the casino to play 1-3, I don't know if it's super different to play 2-5, right? Just to get yourself familiar and then start to build the bankroll. If it's not every time, if it's every once in a while, that's kind of what I did, right? Like I'm not going to 2-5 and buying in for the max, right? Or like if it's a match to stack, I'm not bringing 4K, 5K to play 2-5 and play 1,000 big blinds deep, right? If you think you are less experienced in the pool, you want to play with shorter stacks because you will make more mistakes, and those mistakes will cost you fewer big blinds, right? If you have a stack of 50 bigs, the biggest mistake you can make costs you 50 big blinds. But if you have a stack of 100 bigs, right, your mistake is twice as costly to you. So playing short stacked, it's 100 bigs. It's not that short stacked, right? But, you know, playing on the short stack, this is why you'll see a bunch of players at 1-2, 1-3 with like buying in for the minimum $60 or $100, like having a very small stack, right? They don't know that at these low stakes games, right, the rake eats you alive, so having no chips is really bad. But as you move up in stakes, having lower stacks is a little bit better, right? So I think Duke is a good enough player. I think he could kind of play tight and find his spots to bob and weave a little bit. And so I'm going to encourage him to take a shot, take the same $500 to 1-3, and put it on the 2-5 table, see how you do, see how you like it. All right, make sure you do this. Make sure you comment, you like, you subscribe on his video. Dukey Bets, one of the nicest guys in poker, one of the, at least me, I mean, I like the guy as a person, love him, but I love his vlogs too. I think super well edited. His voice is really good for the voiceovers. But that's my session review of Dukey Bets. Not a ton of solver work, just because of the multi-way nature of a lot of the spots and things like that. A lot of weird limp pots and things. Congrats, Duke, running this video up. At this point, it's been up for 6 hours, and it's got 2,500 50,000 views. So really just killing it, killing it, killing it. His growth has been off the charts and well deserved. He makes terrific content, like up there with some of the best in terms of video quality and pure entertainment. So that's amazing. If you haven't already, hit the like, subscribe button on this video and on my channel, and go on over, head over, check out Dukey Bets' channel, all that good stuff. Until next time, JQ Poker. No, until next time, good luck at the table, guys. I appreciate you, and we'll see you in the next one.